Hey everyone, I'm Santos. This is a presentation on building fast and building well. The goal of this presentation is to give you the tools and knowledge that you need to succeed as a builder at the SatsX Hackathon. Who am I and why should you care what I say? I'm the founder of Emeralize. It's an e-learning platform, has lightning payments that dramatically lower the platform fees that other competitors like Udemy charge. I'm the vice president of strategy at Zebedee, which is fintech for the gaming industry, as well as a plug-and-play lightning solution. Previously, I was the business lead of tech and product before moving into my strategy role like 4 months ago. So built lots of products and features. I'm an organizer of the Arizona Bitcoin Network, and I have about 10 years of fintech and banking experience. I was at Amex before joining Zebedee on their global data repository team, which did bank integrations, risk and compliance, marketing and sales, data quality, and data operations. And I'm an autodidact, so I actually completely taught myself everything. Dropped out of school when I was 14. So what is Emeralize? It's an e-learning platform that incentivizes learning and enables educators to earn from courses and ebooks. So you can see Emeralize is in the middle. We have a marketplace for you to sell your courses and ebooks, and all the payments are processed through Lightning. And we also reward learners for completing resources and paid courses. So building Emeralize, I took it from an idea to market within 1 year. I solo built it, and the reason why I cared to build it is because I saw a lot of problems with existing educational models, even new sort of solutions to those models, and I saw an opportunity where Lightning and Bitcoin rewards could help address those problems. At Zebedee, we found that through a case study that we did with one of our partners, Viker Games, we had massive retention increase as well as return on ad spend. So I thought, well, what if that actually could help people learn? And then I basically integrated Lightning payments to incentivize collaboration through doing things like payment splitting amongst different creators. So now you can have from course revenue or purchases automatically split between multiple people, as well as tipping through Bitcoin, purchases through Bitcoin, and a few other things. So, and as well as because of the low processing fees, I was able to dramatically lower it for course creators and now ebooks as well. Udemy takes a pretty big marketplace fee, so does Audible, as well as Amazon for selling ebooks. So this is going to be my development process and tooling. So normally when you're getting started at a hackathon, you need to brainstorm for an idea or what you're going to focus on for the hackathon. How do you go about doing that, especially when you're collaborating with other people you may not have met before? So what I like to do is after everybody's grouped and together, set a 5-minute timer and then just generate ideas without bias. So don't really worry about whether or not you think it's a good idea. Just write it down and keep moving. I actually have a Figma file that I can share with you that I like to use for this. And just keep going until you run out of that 5 minutes. And then after the 5 minutes is when you can begin judging ideas a bit more and rating them. So the way I like to rate things is through complexity. So how hard is it actually going to be to build this idea and implement it? Because you only have a day and a half to actually write code. So think about that in terms of technical complexity. You don't take on something that you can't complete within the time frame of the hackathon, at least as a proof of concept. The utility, how useful is it going to be to users? The business value, what's the size of the market? Depending upon what you're doing, that may or may not be applicable. This depends. If you're doing an open source project, maybe you don't necessarily care about business value, but you think it'll be impactful as an open source contribution. And then the coolness factor, innovation factor, is this something that no one's done before? Is this just badass? If so, you should definitely take that into account because that will motivate you to complete your idea and get other people motivated as well. So you can rate them 1 through 5, 1 being on the lower end, 5 being on the high end, and then kind of take an average. And that will give you a score ultimately that you can rate ideas on. And then you can just select basically from there, narrow it down to 3 ideas, and the team can select together. After you've selected an idea, you need to productize it and come up with like what you're actually going to do before you start building something. Because if you do so, then you could run into like some scope issues where you're trying to focus on too many things than what's really important to get a proof of concept out. So define the specifications. This could be like, what is it that you're building? What are the requirements? What are you not building? What's the definition of done? Like what kind of designs do you need, if any at all, diagramming, these sort of things. And since this is a Lightning hackathon, what Lightning UX flows make sense for your application? How are you going to integrate Lightning? Once you've kind of done those things as a team and aligned on like what you're going to build, what you're not going to build, who's going to do it, create some tickets and assign them out. That will really help you keep everybody organized and make sure that everybody has something to do. Everybody's contributing in some way. Even if you can't write code, you could do designs. You could figure out how to market it. Somebody could be doing the pitch deck. So by the time you're done, you have everything in order, basically. So now you've productized things. Designing is where this kind of like begins. So you can diagram your flows, and Figma is a great tool to do this. Get like a high-level overview of the sequence, the set of steps that you're going to execute before you start writing code or even designing. So then you can get an idea of the flow, find gaps in knowledge. You could see, whoa, this is way too much. Like I'm not going to be able to finish this within the time frame that I have, and you can trim scope. So just start removing stuff that's not absolutely necessary, or finding ways to like reduce it down to like its essential elements. Once you've kind of done that, you can begin sketching the flows. So just take a piece of paper and just design what the interface might actually look like. So then everybody gets an idea of what it is that you're building. You can also check for like misunderstandings. And moving forward after that, after you kind of have some paper designs, you can actually jump into Figma and wireframe with the Bootstrap UI kit, which also makes it easy for you to build because you're not reinventing the wheel. You already have a set of components and code designs that are already there for you that are mobile responsive, great for desktop. And after you design it all, you can turn it into a prototype. So this is where you can begin actually going out and testing it with people and seeing whether or not people are able to use your application. This is a really important step because then you can like adjust your design before you actually start writing any code again, which code is probably going to be the most time-consuming part. Now getting to the fun part, actually building, keep it simple. Don't get too complex with whatever it is that you're trying to build. Don't get hung up on the idea of perfect. If you design something that's actually much more challenging to implement, adjust your scope. And this kind of don't reinvent the wheel piece kind of circles back to use something that's already built, like Tailwind, Bootstrap, something like that, where you can pick up and play quite quickly. And again, like if you're implementing something and you're finding like, actually this is way more complex than what it was in the design, adjust it, figure out another way to do it, or de-scope it altogether so you can keep moving. Don't get hung up. And test your product. After you actually have something that's working, find somebody here to actually go through the flow and watch them, because I guarantee you, like the first time that you do it, something's gonna break. It's gonna probably take you a few iterations before it's like the flow is smooth and working the way that you intend it to. So I put together some resources for you guys for the hackathon. So here we have a template, and I'll send out the slide deck. I don't know if there's like a Telegram or something I can send this out to. But I included the idea template that I mentioned earlier. Here you can just like start writing them all out. Actually, this should just be, just delete that. You can just add whatever idea that you want here in each sticky note, and then you can move them into like feasible to do. You can rate them, and then you can actually move them into like a selected pile. And then up here, you can actually like set a 5-minute timer. So then you all can like jump in here and you can collaborate real time. After you've done that, you can write the problem statement, what the goal of the proof of concept is, what impact you want it to have, the abstract, like what's a high-level overview of the project. You can assign roles. You don't have to do all these things. Just like pick what is useful for you and your team and keep it moving. Here's a section for the requirements, the scope, task board, so you can write tasks if you want and assign it to folks. Super simple template, just like what is the description, what's the definition of done. If you want to add success metrics, go ahead. And then what is like the total set of things that you need to be done in order to call like the proof of concept or MVP complete. And then the next resource that I have is a bunch of Lightning UX flows for you guys. So I did some designs with Bootstrap, already aligned them for you, so you can see like how the flow actually works if someone fills out all these input fields. And then there's like 2 routes that it can go. It can be successful, or it can return an error. And yeah, so let's see. So you can do like static deposits, what that might look like, tipping flows, LN URL withdrawal flow. A lot of them are quite similar. And then you can do like invoice flow, like a Bolt 11 if you want, and you can see kind of where this might go astray and handle those cases as well. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful, and I have some more stuff prepared for you guys tomorrow that hopefully will make your lives easier in the hackathon and get your idea out. I'd like to share it. The link is shareable if we have like a Telegram group or something, somewhere I can drop it or I can tweet it. All right. Definitely. And I have more resources tomorrow that I prepare for the workshop too that will also kind of build on top of this presentation.
Santos, I guess my question is, as far as like Zebedee and like the APIs and stuff like that, is that what you'll be going over tomorrow? As far as like making it easier for some of these devs to get in there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so tomorrow I'm doing a workshop, I think at like 9:30 or 10, something like that, and I'll be covering like how to actually start building and integrating. I have a bunch of integration flows for everyone, like diagrams to start with. I also have like some examples of like how to fire your first Lightning address payment, along with like Lightning primitives. So like, what are the key elements of like any UX flow? So like, I showed some examples of the UX flow, but like, how do you actually apply them? What are the use cases? So I go from Bolt 11 to Lightning address, outlining like what I found, you know, in my role at Zebedee to be useful to integrate, like rewards, like splitting payments, deposits, and those other sort of things. So I'll be covering those like quite extensively tomorrow. I can show like a little sneak peek if you want. All right. Thank you for having me.